Oh, hey guys. Today we're going to do a keyboard replacement for a Lenovo ThinkPad, the T560 series. It's a pretty basic install, but what I want to do is I just want to show you guys all of the little quirks that you might run into because I watched another video that was pretty well done, but the problem is he doesn't tell you what you could run into because he's probably either done a bunch of them, but the whole thing is if you don't know these things, then you could literally end up just kind of damaging certain areas of your new keyboard or damaging the areas of where you have to remove and place the screws in this. Because with this model here, none of the screws actually come out. You just have to, basically unscrew them a couple turns until you hear a little clicking sound. Then that means that you've actually, released the screws from where it needs to be released. So going back to the first step here, what you need to do is just flip your laptop upside down, place a screen side on your table or your working area, and what you want to do is just want to remove the batteries for this. So if you this is the first time you've actually have done this and you're not sure how to remove the batteries, so if you look at it here carefully, you're going to see like two latching systems here, one on the left side, the top left, and one on the top right. And if you look at it closely, you'll see that the unlock button is to the left, and then for this side here is to the right. So what you do is very simple here. All you have to do is just basically, here's a closer shot to it. So just basically slide this to the left because that will stay where it's supposed to stay. And on the right side, once you slide it over with your right hand side to the right side there, just use your left hand and slide the battery up north or just away from you. And then you'll easily remove the battery. And then once you've actually done that, this is how you want to basically start off with your replacement and unscrewing and removing the keyboard in this situation here. So look at it here. This is how you should have it positioned. So going to a closer shot of this, I want you to see here. If you look carefully, I'll show you a closer shot. There's these little tabs here. There's one there on the bottom left, one close to the middle right, and then one on the right side, right underneath the numlock keypad. Um, and here's a closer shot to it. So this is on the far left hand corner, which is actually right here. So if you look at it here, there's one there, and then there's two on the middle right, and then one on the far right hand corner. So what you want to do with that here, if you have like some type of sliding tool or a pick tool, because I guess in this situation it doesn't really matter because if you end up slipping and breaking a key, it doesn't matter. So, but the whole thing is I don't want you to mash up these little tabs because they're so tiny. They're like literally smaller than a rice pellet. So what you want to do is you want to have something that has a good grip, like what I have here. I have a pick tool here for things like this, and all you do is you want to do is just push down on that tab and then and slide it forward up north, until that you can see these tabs here being released. Because if you look at it previously on this other picture here, it's flush, right? So what you want to do is you want to be able to just put your pick tool on there and push it forward up north, and then you'll see these tabs being released. So, and then you do the same for the one in the middle right, and then the one on the far right hand corner. And as you can see here, and then it starts to lift forward. This whole keyboard assembly, it's actually the underneath part, that the release mechanism will go upwards. And so when you've seen all of the tabs all on the bottom left, the middle, and the far right hand corner, then you know you've actually released it properly. Because the only way for you to release it properly, and I'll show you here, what you'll be able to see is that, as you can see here, this is all of the tabs being released. It's completely in the open here. You don't want even like 1/10 of it kind of stuck underneath the slip, right? You want to make sure that they're fully exposed, and that's how you've actually completely lifted up properly. And then the other sign too is that if you're able to see your screws, what I'll do is I'll go into here. Um, so yeah, we'll go to here. So if you look right above the caps lock key, there's six screws from the top of the caps lock key, and it goes to your right. There's one here on the F, and then you see here there's the semicolon and stuff like that, the enter key, and then one at the right above the number six key, in your keypad area. So all you do is just grab your screwdriver, twist them, and you'll twist it about, I would say about, 3 to 5 times, and you'll start hearing a little clicking sound. And once you hear the clicking sound, like I said, then that means it's an indication of it telling you that you've unscrewed it to the full max. It won't come out, so don't worry about it. Just unscrew it until you hear the little clicking sound, and then just go to the next screw until you've done all of the six the same way. So, and then once you've done that, then all you have to do is grab a little pry tool, a plastic, you know If you can, I mean, if you don't have a plastic pry tool, you can use a metal one. You don't have to worry about it because the battery has been removed, so you're not going to short anything up. But just to prevent any type of damage to it, a plastic pry tool is always the best thing if you can. And all you do is just right above your trackpad, just put your pry tool anywhere in the area there, just slip it underneath, which will give you the ability just to pick up the keyboard and hold it in this situation here. So if you look at it here, what you want to do is just you want to be able just to lift it up, and then up here there's also a latching system that goes underneath the top lip. So what you want to do afterwards is to pull towards you. So pull it down south towards you, towards the trackpad. But don't pull it too hard because there are still two cables underneath it, right? So just literally pull this down towards you until the tabs here will release itself. And then what you want to do afterwards is just to flip it upside down in this position here and just place it over your trackpad area. And this is how it should look like. So this is basically here, this is where we're going to be focusing on next. So if you look at it here carefully, right where the white line is, right above it on both of these lines here, you can actually just put your thumbnail underneath it and just lift. There's a latch locking system that locks down and keeps your both of your keyboard cables, positioned and fastened down so that they don't pop out. So for you to release this, the two cables, all you have to do is just use your thumbnail and put it underneath this locking system and lift it upwards. It's the same thing with this. So if you can see here, I did the one on the right side here. It's kind of hard to see with this picture, but once I release it, as you can see here, it's standing straight up. It's kind of hard to see because it's actually standing directly upwards, and that's how you do it. So, and then what you want to do is once you've done that, release the two cables, just remove the cable, and get your new keyboard, and then do the same layout, or do everything in reverse order where you're putting in the first cable on the right, slide it in to make sure that it's completely parallel, because once you do slide it in, you'll hear a little ticking sound or a clicking sound, so that you know that you've actually fastened the left and the right side properly. And if you do need to, um, if you're having a hard time holding this cable, you see this dark blue part here. If you grab the center of it, it's a pretty hard surface, because that tab there is actually to give you the ability to actually hold onto the cable without damaging the white part of this whole cable here. So that's that. You can actually just grab on that and then just slip it underneath the slot and push down the tab to lock it back in, and then do the same thing for the left hand side. And as you can see here, you see the black tab here, that's in its locking position, and this one here I haven't locked it yet. So right now you see no black area here because it's right here. So once you put your cable nice and flush and insert it into the socket, just push down this tab here that's basically pointing at us or standing directly upwards, and then push it down into the same position as you see here where it's flat and completely locked. And as you can see at the line there and the locking area of the tab, it's completely parallel to one another and is completely flush. Because the last thing you want to do is to put a cable in where 90% of it's on this side and then 100% is on that side. You don't want to end up having to seal the whole system to find out that your keyboard isn't working properly because you didn't seal it properly. Because if some of your functions don't work, then you know what you've done wrong. So remember that, right? So that's why I'm just trying to avoid all these situations so that you can do it right the first time and not have to worry about it. And then this is a locking area, so you want to lock that and do that. So once you've actually done that, just flip it back up to the original position and how it is there. So since we're doing this in reverse order, so remember, right, when you flip it over, you want to put the tabs where your keyboard is here and slip it underneath the top lip. So make sure that all of the areas are actually slipped underneath or slid underneath the lip here, so that all of the tabs are underneath. And then once you've done that, all you have to do is just place this downwards there and push it all the way down, and make sure that it's just exposed like that, and then fasten the six screws first. You don't want to slide this down first. You want to tighten the six screws first. So remember that, right? Don't do the three tabs here. Tighten up all your six screws and make sure that you will actually also, you'll notice when don't over torque. Just make sure you also have the right bit too, because the last thing you want to do is end up stripping these screws, because these are very, very important six screws. So just make sure you put it nice and tight, because, well, not super tight. Just make sure it's just a standard tightness, just regular maximum torque, but don't over torque these screws, because they're very durable at the same time. But you don't want to over torque, but you don't want to also not screw it down enough until you hear some type of tick, or you can feel some major resistance. Because if you don't do that, what happens is I'm trying to tell you because I do so many brands, so it's really hard for me to remember every one of them. So I haven't done one of these T560 series in probably uh, I think during the since the beginning of COVID. So what I did wrong in the beginning here is because I didn't tighten them all. I did tighten a lot of them down to a certain extent, about 90%, but because I didn't want to over torque. So what happens is when I was trying to tighten these tabs to pull them down, guess what was happening? It actually wasn't sliding down enough. It wouldn't allow you to slide it down so that you can lock in this place, lock these tabs into place when you use your pick tool to pull that down. So remember that, right? Make sure that all of the six screws are nice and tight, but don't over torque. Once they're nice and tight, you'll know when you need to stop. And then once you've done that, tighten the three screws. Use your pick tool and pull down these tabs towards you. One, two, and three, and then you're going to actually have it nice and locked right there. And what I'll do is I'll also provide you the part number for the keyboard, and or all you have to do is just look through eBay or through another seller online to look for the T560 series and make sure that your keyboard does match, because for this specific model here, there's also a French Canadian keyboard that you can actually buy for this, which I wouldn't suggest trying to swap them out because sometimes it doesn't always work depending on the cable system unless your seller asks you. You might want to ask them if you do want to change it from a US English keyboard to a French Canadian, because I guess this model must be a Canadian model. I'm not sure if it's available in the US, but usually sometimes they change models up like that. So, but this happened to be a US English keyboard, just to let you know, because she didn't have any French accents on some of the keys and stuff. So I knew it was completely English. So, and if you look at it here, there are no accents. Usually when you look at all certain keys like the question mark and a bunch of other things, you'll see like the accent aigu and a few other characters in French, but this is a pure US English keyboard. And at least that helps. So like I said, if you need the part number, there it is right there. And if you guys have any questions or any suggestions, just please post them on the comments. And thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe and have a good day. Cheers.